Quick breath. It's a lot, but it's worth it. The stress is directly related to the opportunity and the potential that could be coming in this Black Friday, Cyber Monday, in this major moment that we're all gonna be participating in. Whether we're creating something, whether we're consuming something, everybody's involved in this, especially if you're in the States, because we love spending on Christmas stuff. So before we get there, we need to be pretty dialed in, because right now, not only if the creative is your currency that's going to allow you to participate the best way you can in this Black Friday, Cyber Monday, then your budget is the fuel to make sure that it could be as big as it possibly can be. Because when you light it correctly, this should be doing everything. And there's a lot of different ways of looking at this. There's talks and conversations around delayed attribution, the CAC you're buying into. We're not gonna go that deep on this, but what I am going to do is give you a framework and a way to think through this so that you can at least make decisions on an hourly basis, which is just even crazy to think about you could even do, but you can, especially if you're spending a couple thousand a day. If you start spending a couple $100,000 a day, you're really gonna need to know it on an hourly basis. So let's tune in for this. Overall, the best way that you can think about this is a spend and budget allocation. Pre-Black Friday, Cyber Monday, if you look at the entire holistic amount of budget you have for the month building up, pre-Black Friday, so anything before that 27th, it's about 30 to 40% of your budget. I give it that range because we do need to continue to spend. We do need to make sure that the funnel is full and we're acquiring new subscribers. Then I would say anywhere between 40 to 60%, that's the Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. That is the pre-Friday, that is the Friday, that is the day between Monday, then all of a sudden it's the Monday. So you have that weekend where a lot of the acquisition is gonna be people are on their phones. Make sure the budget is allocated towards Black Friday, which means the pre-Black Friday, you're probably spending a little bit more at a lower ROAS because you know this consumer is gonna come back. You know you're buying these impressions and the remarketing pools will be that much bigger. Adjust accordingly for this. And then post-Black Friday, a little bit less as you're transitioning into the holiday season, making sure that we have all those creatives for us to rotate into. Now, if I'm thinking about the channel allocation, where is the money actually gonna be going on the days of? This is not specific. I'll give the general broad stroke guideline. High SKU businesses, majority of the budget is gonna go Meta, 50 to 60+%. Google Shopping, search engine, about 20%, 25%. And then we'll have all the remainings, the TikToks, the Apple Ovens, the Snapchats, the Pinterests. That's in the 10+% range. Low SKUs, pretty similar. Primarily TikTok, maybe TikTok Shop. If we're gonna be on Meta, we're gonna be on Google. And I think that's more than enough. I don't think we need to overcomplicate it. Go where you know. Play on the platforms you've already been playing on. I have a little bit more of a specific way to articulate what we're gonna do from a day of campaign, but I'm gonna get into this right beforehand. Thinking through the actual assets and the strategy of us what we're wanting to do. The ad itself, we talked about this briefly of what was making into a good ad, but the good ad is important to understand the budget and the daily pacing. To have a winner, we want the static with a static overlay plus a static overlay into collection carousel. We wanna see if we can take that winning asset and throw it across the different displays and placements within Meta, because that's gonna give us our biggest opportunity for scale, especially if we can get the full usage out of the assets we've already sprinted to create. And so generally speaking, the day of how we're thinking about this, overall campaign objectives, it's always gonna be sales. We're always optimizing for conversions. If you think you're not gonna get distribution, if you think you're gonna get throttled anyway, you can look at other optimizations, engagement, video views, reach. I'm not super fans. I'm not saying that that's the place we need to go that's going to drive conversion. But if the offer is good enough, there is a math. If the maths, that might be the opportunity for it. Now, the overall Meta ad setup, I'm not going to overcomplicate it here. It's going to be unique depending on your structure. And I think this probably means a deeper dive into how we would actually launch some of these campaigns. You'll have an idea with the overall daily pace. So I'm not going to go super specific on strategies. There's some great videos out there that talks about capitalizing and making sure that this moment is big time. So I'll talk about at least how we're pacing and making decisions with a cool little calculator. So we made this just to have an idea of where pace could potentially be. We generally have our overall pacing targets. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here to the left side. Every single thing is marked for you. So all you gotta do is kind of plug and play, but I'm gonna teach you what this means right now. On the daily target pace, this is what our target is for what we're trying to spend on this day, based upon our budget, based upon how profitable we've been, based upon how much money we have left. My goal to spend on this day, whether it's Black Friday, whether it's Cyber Monday, whatever this major moment is, if you're day trading and buying that day and you wanna be very active in it, this is the number that we're gonna play with. So for me, my daily spend target on Black Friday this year, I will be pissed if the team could not make me spend $50,000 that day. If we don't spend $50,000, it is a fail, Brandon and David. My target ROAS, based upon the other profitability margin sheet that we've been using, awesome little tools right here. I know my target ROAS based on my AOV of $100, the math that we've been mathing is going to be break even 1.56. Dude, I'm okay with scaling at 1.56, but what I really want them to be doing it with the discount that we potentially have running around 20%, to be higher. I'm gonna say the scale metric that matters to me is a 2.28. I'm gonna make it just a little bit juicier to force them to perform. 2.28 is my ROAS target, 2.28. That's because I'm buying into a 3-month LTV. That means I'm buying into a little bit more of like what I know about my customer. What do you know about your customer? Can you spend more than what day one ROAS is? We just updated these two. Start time. The cool thing about this sheet, everything here, as long as you don't break it, as long as you don't mess with it, use it as it's intended, it's gonna automatically update the time. So as I start updating these numbers, 2 points, just for the sake of movement, 2.29, you start seeing these done because this is the real time when we're recording. So this will give you a real time split. Now, what happens if hypothetically you wanna fast forward to a time of the day? Then you come over here to the manual override and you'll hit true. I'm gonna use false, so I'm gonna do the whole thing before I show it, but then you'd hit true, and that way you'd override and tell exactly what it is you want that time to be, and you can adjust and be even more specific with this calculator. So you can already tell it's pulling in some numbers from down below. So pulling in, it says we are 14 hours in. So I'm gonna update to 14 hours just to give you the example of what we're going today. So we are spending $400 an hour. Gonna have to be spending way more than that if I'm gonna do 50,000. Let's go, I'm gonna spend $2,400 an hour. I'm gonna grab this, $2,400, all the way down to the 14th hour, just so I can match it up with where my document is and what it's gonna tell me. If my goal is to spend 50,000 at 2.3 almost, so far we've spent $36,000 because it's how many hours with how much total cumulative spend up until that 14th hour. So it's starting to project out, so it just holds 36. So it's saying up until that hour, we've been spending $36,000. So this is total currently spent. Then we have our pacing delta. What is the average we're spending on an hourly basis? It's telling me we're over pacing, pacing too fast. Let's double check this. 24 all the way down. 57. So it told me that I was over pacing for my budget, which is correct. If I would have kept that pace, $2,400, it would have been too much. We would have missed our overall budget at 57. So maybe we have to start adjusting down past the 14th hour to make sure I land it close. Maybe this looks like 1,200. Just to see if I can land this plane. 46. Telling me we're still pacing fast all the way through. So it's very interesting because it's going to pull me up to the 14th hour. So that makes sense. So it's a super helpful tool to understand how fast am I moving? Where is it going? Because even if you go back in, what is the remaining target spend that we have? How much money is left that I need to kind of make up depending on what my target is and to what has already been spent? Can I even hit that? And it's going to give me the recommended budget that we should be spending against. It'll give you the pace across how many of the most recent hours, because sometimes what we see in Meta, first couple of hours do not spend. So hypothetically, here's what a lot of scenarios look like at the beginning of the day. Not much money's being spent. Maybe you get 200 bucks. Maybe it starts to pace up, 250. Then all of a sudden you're getting kind of nervous. It's still early in the morning. Let's let it ride. West Coast is still waking up. More West Coast starts waking up. Oh my God, everyone's awake. So now all of a sudden you go from nothing, because I just jammed the budget. And because the pace was too slow in the morning, because the budgets weren't starting as high, now all of a sudden spend just forces through and you're starting to freak out because I just blew through all my budget and I have no idea what's happening. And how do I get this back? Now we're starting to kill ads, starting to make performance decision-making. And I need to make sure I'm looking back at the right amount of hours, because right now what we've seen, these are not indicators of how the day should be performing. These are closer to how the indicators should be performing. So we need to see what the average is going to be across the rest of the day. Because realistically, if this is what it looks like, it's gonna be too difficult to make decisions and you're gonna need a larger look back window. And the larger look back window is gonna give you an update of how many hours are left, as well as what the potential end of spend is going to look like. So this has been such a little helpful tool just to kind of gut check yourself around where the pace is going to go and update. Easiest way for you guys to To check this, I have a little bit of a cheat sheet right here on the right side. I also have this cool little cheat sheet to tell you exactly what these things mean. So this helps me, this helps my team. It's something I've been playing with for quite a while. And yeah, I think you guys will be able to utilize this to grow, scale, and spend a bunch of money. Hopefully make a bunch of money. That'd be nice, right? As soon as we go through the budget, as soon as you understand what you're comfortable in spending, you know your offer, you know your creatives, you know the page you're running to, you know your inventory levels, you know the emails being sent. Enjoy it. This is one of the best times of the year for you, for your team, for your consumers. And look, it doesn't have to be as big as everybody's talking about on YouTube or on Twitter or on Meta, wherever they're talking about this or yapping about this. It needs to be as big as you want it to be. Your business, your brand, your life, your build. I think this is one of the coolest things that you could be doing as being an entrepreneur or supporting an entrepreneur, focusing on this revenue generation thing. Lean into the moment. The moment is a very important one. We've had an incredible year already. And I think if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you hit me up at any place. My name is Nick Shackelford. Thank you so much for being with me, listening in, taking action. I'll see you in January. Take care, guys.